good though.
Well, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. If Shad can lead us in the invocation.
Let's all pray. Father, we thank you, God, for another day that you've given us. We thank you for your blessings. And Lord, we thank you, God, that you have allowed us to make it through another year safely. Lord, and keeping our health. And Lord, we thank you, God, for all the experiences that we had. Lord, whether they be good or whether they be bad. Father, we know that you are molding us and making us into who it is that you want us to be. Lord, now as we look towards this next year, and we look forward to this next year, Lord, we pray, God, that you would guide us. Lord, we pray that we would understand and we would know your will. And Lord, when we do know your will, that we would act accordingly, Lord, in a way that would be pleasing unto you. Lord, now in this hour, we pray, God, for the elected officials, the people that work for the city of Cumming, and the citizens, Lord, that have made it here tonight. Lord, I pray that we would conduct business in such a way that it honor you, glorify you, and that it would be to the good of the citizens of Cumming and for South County. Lord, lead, God, and direct us in all things that we will do. And Father, again, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace, and thank you for your mercy, and being mindful of us one more time. All these favors we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Shad. If everyone will join the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's that?
Next is to consider the agenda for adoption. We do have one addition, which would be under new business, item 5, transfer funds from Development Authority to the general fund. There are no other changes. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Please vote. Motion carries 5-0. Next is to consider adoption for the following meeting minutes. A, regular council meeting of December 18th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. Next is executive session meeting December 18th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adopt. Second.
Vote. Carries 5-0. Item 6, acknowledgements, there are none. Item 7, old business, there is none. Item 8, new business. A, administration, keep for South County beautiful. Got a presentation from Zach Truelove.
Good evening. Happy New Year. My name is Zach Truelove. I work for a local engineering firm. I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Georgia. Today I'm here on behalf of Keep Forsyth County Beautiful. For those of you who don't know, we are the local affiliate for the Keep America Beautiful program. Our primary focus is education and also litter. We host several cleanups throughout the year. We also, these programs are also used as part of credit towards City of Cumming and Forsyth County's MS4 program. So today I'm here to talk about household hazardous waste and the event we're proposing to host in spring of 2019. So for those of you who don't know, household hazardous waste is a material that any homeowner can purchase from a Lowe's, Home Depot, but there's not a typical way, there's not a standard way or a means of disposal. And these are, EPA defines household hazardous waste as materials that can catch fire, that can explode, or they can just cause some damage if they're disposed of improperly. And examples of these products I've got listed up here is basically paints, cleaners, oils, batteries, light bulbs, anything, pesticides, fertilizers, anything that you might have laying around your house that you just don't know what to do with. So why should we hold one of these events? Well, currently, we do have recycle centers that Forsyth County maintains. So there is an outlet for recycling. just your standard materials, cardboards, I think there's bottles, but, and just different things that you think of whenever you're doing a recycle collection event. And currently, KFCB, Keep Forsyth County Beautiful, we host a biannual paint and electronics event. So we're already hosting an event that is geared to those materials. So with these household hazardous waste, currently there isn't a way to dispose of them legally and without causing some kind of pollution. And what the consumer will end up doing if they don't know what to do with it, a lot of people don't know what to do with it, is they'll end up throwing away in the household garbage. There is, like, you can dry out paint with cat litter or something along those lines and then throw it away. You could probably do the same thing with a few other materials, but there are some materials that you just aren't supposed to do that with, or they get poured down the drain. The problem with those materials being disposed of in that fashion, let's say it goes to, you put it in the trash and then it goes to your landfill. There's going to be a time where even if you dry it out appropriately, there's going to be a potential for when the material gets placed in the landfill, there could be a rain event on that landfill before it gets covered up. There's potential for those chemicals to resuspend in some kind of liquid. It might be a liquid that was thrown out in somebody else's trash. So eventually that'll get down, it'll drain down to the liner on the landfill and potentially cause erosion, therefore causing leaks and issues with groundwater. Another, if you end up pouring these things down the drain, then not only can it cause damage to the infrastructure that transports the materials, the pipes and that type of infrastructure, when it gets into your wastewater treatment system or plants, it also offsets the chemistry. And that, there's really not a way to quantify the impacts, but that is a cost impact to your local utilities. So we're looking for a way to dispose of these materials in a manner that's safe and effective. So we wouldn't be the only people doing this. There are neighboring communities that host these events already. So for these events are solely for these communities themselves. Right now, we're proposing, KFCB would like to open up this event to not only Forsyth County, City of Cumming, but we'd like to bring in outside communities that don't have this event, primarily to the north of us. You can see that the communities that got listed here are going to be to the south. They're going to be closer to Metro Atlanta. But the communities like Dawson County and Cherokee County, I know that they don't have these outlets. And the reason we're thinking we'd like to open it up is because not only will their wastewater treatment programs benefit from this, but Eagle Point landfill is where all this material goes. And so we're going to look at primarily partnering with the communities that their trash goes to Eagle Point landfill also. Eagle Point landfill is in Forsyth County, and they are the host county for that. So it would be to everybody's benefit that takes advantage of that to participate in these events. So we've been working on this I personally, for over a year now. And we've done the due diligence. We've put together a request for proposal based on information that we've obtained from primarily Clayton County Water and Sewer Authority. They gave us a great example. They're about on the same scale of comparable to our county. So we've took their information, we've come up with an estimated cost on what we think this event's going to take to have. And that's where we're at now. We're trying to obtain funding. And we've already approached Forsyth County. We approached them in November. We've done some work, and we got positive feedback from Forsyth County. And since then, we had an approach where we were going to handle the event, we were going to handle the bid process ourselves, but in talking to Forsyth County, they brought up a good point in that if we go through their procurement process, they'll be less likely to, it would be more transparent, and we'd be assured that the funds that any municipality would be handling would be handled in a manner that is appropriate to a jurisdiction. And then that way, when we're requesting funds from neighboring counties and we're also requesting funds from Cumming, y'all have that assurance that the monies are going to be handled appropriately. Our role in the event would be to coordinate the event. And that would include contract, once we get quotes in from a vendor, we would put together a review committee, which would consist of KFCB staff. We also have Tammy Wright, who's a solid waste manager for Forsyth County. She's our liaison with the county. She would be reviewing them. We would like to have participation from the city of Cumming in that review process. We'd be looking for assistance in that. But we'd also do the upfront coordination. We contact, the local emergency authorities. Once we get the bid schedule, we let them know that we're going to be collecting these materials, and just give everybody a heads up. Also, it would be hosted in a similar fashion as what we did with the paint and electronic. What we do with the paint and electronic events, we would make sure that we had a game plan, getting people in, getting people out in an efficient manner. Also, we would coordinate the volunteers and just making sure that everything runs smoothly. We are proposing to combine this event with our paint and electronics event. So that way, it will just be kind of a one-stop shop. You drop off your electronics, drop off your paint, but you can also bring these materials that probably have been building up in people's garages or storage areas over the past few years. And what we'd like to do, initially we want to hold a event for Forsyth County and Cumming to kind of get a grasp on what kind of participation we're going to be seeing. After that, we'd be looking to host biannual events, and at that point we bring in other counties. So we'll be looking for a partnership with Cumming on twice a year on a biannual basis for this event. As I mentioned, we have met with the Forsyth County commissioners, met with them in early November. Some of the recommendations and requests that came up, they brought forward was they wanted us to get a memorandum of understanding together so that everybody knows their roles. I've provided city staff with a copy of the draft memorandum that we've been working on with the Forsyth County attorney. We'll be happy to answer any questions on that in just a moment. The other thing we were looking at was we were proposing to charge, ask for a minimum donation for the event initially. But the Forsyth County Commissioners came back and said, we're probably not going to see as much participation if it's not a free event, which is understandable. The reason we were looking to charge was because the event is costly, and we would need to offset some of the costs. And they also were looking at, because this is going to be a benefit to one of the primary beneficiaries would be their water and sewer department. They are looking to contribute a portion of what they're going to be contributing directly from their water and sewer department. So, and at that event, we talked about looking into corporate sponsorships, which we're currently strategizing on how to do that. And the other thing was, whenever we initially presented to the county, we estimated this event was going to cost around $50,000, and that's just based on unit costs that we obtained from Clayton Water Sewer Authority. And then we extrapolated that to a 500-car event, which they had like a 300-car event. So we've got some data that we're backing up these costs or anticipated costs with. And honestly, it's going to be kind of a wag, but until we really know the demand. But that would have given us some flexibility in the amount of material we could take. However, if we had a not to exceed, that could run the potential of having to turn some residents away. If we run out of money, we don't have anything to pay the vendors with. So Forsyth County kind of surprised us and said, well, we'll look for other sponsors, other partners, but they would cover the balance, just so that we would not be having to turn people away from this event. And again, this is just a restatement of what we've done since the November meeting we had with the county. We've been working with the attorney on a draft MOU. We've met with representatives of the city of Cumming, mayor, council, and staff. And we've just started preliminary discussions on how we're going to approach corporate sponsorship. So what we would be requesting from the city is to host the event biannually at the Cumming Fairgrounds. that's where we currently host our paint electronics events. We know the lay of the land. We think it will work. We can work this event there, this collection in there also. And we will be looking for a partnership, a financial partnership based on a per event contribution. Now this, we're not set, basically we had some initial meetings and we were looking at we're looking at the $50,000 budget for this initially, and then we looked at an 80-20 split. But some initial feedback came in that may be too much. So we've come down to $5,000 per event based on what we thought that the city might be willing to contribute. We're not dead set on any kind of financial contribution. Basically, what we would like is just to create a community event that everybody gets involved in, and we're doing something to the benefit of local infrastructure for both communities. So the benefits that Cumming would be looking at this would give an environmentally friendly outlet. Basically, our residents would have some place to go with this material. They wouldn't have to sit in their garage, or they wouldn't have to go pour it out either in their yard or down the drain. This also would be an expanded partnership with the city of Cumming. Basically, KFCB provides the city of Cumming some stats that you send off to the EPD for EMS4 permit. Y'all are probably familiar with that permit. It's something that you have to have in order to operate a municipal stormwater system. It is also associated with issuing land disturbance permits in different aspects that the state allows the city to do. So you'll get the benefit of that data to go towards that annual report. Again, and again, just to restate, we're looking for an event that we can work together on with the county and just give these people, give the residents an outlet. And just in general, with partnering with KFCB, like I said, we've already put in a lot of work just to try to figure out what it's going to take to put this thing on. So you don't have that. We will coordinate with the vendors once it's taken care of and do the event management. One of the things that we as an organization will be focused on in vendor selection is we want to make sure that these vendors are appropriately disposing of this material. We don't want to host an event, have the city, county, other jurisdictions, all our sponsors pay into the event, it get collected and just get put in the landfill anyway. It kind of defeats the purpose. So that's one of the qualifications we're going to be looking for is vendors that will recycle. Not everything can be recycled, but we're going to do our best to see that everything can be recycled. And again, we're looking, municipal benefits are going to be found in the waste management facilities and the maintenance costs associated. And that's our primary goal, is just to keep materials out of those facilities. So, well, that said, that's all I have for my presentation. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Yes, ma'am.
Just because I don't know.
Sure.
When you come by in a car and bring something to be
Right.
in this particular hazardous waste, does it cost you? I know this is free. Does it cost the city per car, or per pound, or how is it charged?
It's different based on different materials. Some materials are on a per pound basis. What is paint? Is that per can?
It's by the gallon.
By the gallon. So like when you drop off a can of paint, they'll charge you, we count the gallons of paint, and then that's what the consumer's paying for, and then we're charged, in our events right now, we're charged at the end of the event for the amount that's collected.
So not counting your labor, which is people who have to work an extra day or do whatever twice a year, you think it'll cost $50,000 for the amount of hazardous waste that you would gather?
That's based on a 500 car event that we're projecting. And we got that projection, like I said, the RFQ that I was looking at from Clayton County, they did it based on a 300 car projection. And then what I did was I took the units that they used for 300 cars and just extrapolated it. And that's how we came up with that $50,000 number.
Would it be far too expensive to have this kind of a collection site down at our collection site where you can take your newspapers and your
The
cardboard?
recycle, can you speak to that?
We take some of those materials there, but the main thing is in order to take a lot of the materials we're talking about here, you actually have to have a hazmat permit to handle them. So,
And a
that's,
place to store.
yeah, that's a whole nother, so this particular event, the company that collects them will be on site that day. They will collect them and drive them off the same day. So it releases us of all the liability of having these special permits and that kind of thing. And as far as staffing, there won't be any staffing costs for that day. I'll be probably the only staff. I may have a couple of my people, but we'll just be on normal county payroll that day. So that's all for the payment of disposing of materials.
And the board, KFCB is a volunteer board, so there's no pay associated with it.
Well, why would we open it up to other counties except just for being a good neighbor? Because it's gonna cost us.
Well, it will cost. We would like to be the good neighbor, but like I said before, the reason we're looking at opening up to different counties is because of the regional application to the regional landfill. So we're looking to improve things at Eagle Point Landfill. Like I said, they'll get, I know it's not City of Cumming water, it's not Forsyth County water, but Etowah Water and Sewer Authority in Dawsonville will also benefit from this in a similar manner.
And Linda, to that, the plan also is the first event, not to open it up to those, well, not to advertise it to those other counties. But if it's successful, what our plan is then approaching Dawson County
Right.
and saying, if you wanna advertise this to your residents, then you buy into it. So we
Exactly.
would ask them, if they wanna participate, that they also contribute from that point on. So it would still be cheap for them compared to what our, county's paying, but.
Well, if it's costing $50,000 and we're paying $5, is the county paying $45?
Yeah,
Or anything.
Well, they're getting sponsorship.
and anything over that.
Linda's shaking her head, I was shocked too.
I am thrilled.
And it still hasn't passed, we go back on the work session on the 8th.
We're gonna have to space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm expecting because all those
Well, our
recommendations
portion
were.
is much smaller.
When you look at it too,
The fairgrounds cost.
looking at, and we,
They're
Yeah,
awesome.
right.
when we talked about it too, looking at it from the water department though, we're a lot bigger than the city.
And you don't want.
You know what I'm
things going
saying?
Down the drain.
Speaking of that, John, you've been kind of partnering with them for on the bridge review. Anything to add on that?
And they're a great organization to work with. I think they could organize them. I think it'd work well and give us some credits too, so. Credits for DPD,
And we can fund it out of water and sewer, is how we
Well,
pay.
if you don't do this, then like you say, it's mostly going down the drain.
And that can affect our bugs, we call them bugs, that's what we're going with the wastewater plant, make them sick and they don't treat well, so.
Some of that stuff corrodes pipes.
You can, a lot of times concrete, manholes, they'll fall apart, wrong kind of corrosive materials in there. We've seen that before, when they start falling apart, they clog and you have an overflow if you don't,
Well,
see.
thank you, Mom.
When we met with Zach, Joanne, Phil and I, we talked about maybe having an event at the fairgrounds the same day where if you donate and you bring your stuff and you give a donation, they're doing it for free, but it'll have open donations. They have a ticket or something that will get you into a fairgrounds event, something like that.
That'd be nice.
Kind of try to drum up and get, $500.
You'd hate
It's
not to
ambitious,
give
but
it
it'd be great if it,
Well-
a bunch of people came.
Well, and just to be clear, I didn't point this out, and the MOU is spelled out, but it would be a free event. We would be asking for a donation of $5 or to offset some of the loss of, the paint and electronics is one of our biggest fundraisers, just to cover operating costs for KFCB. So we would be asking for a final donation up to like $3,500. And then after that, that would go back towards the event, because that's about how much money we get out of the paint and electronics.
Any other questions?
But they don't have to pay you if they don't want to.
Yes.
I make a motion that the city buys into it with their percentage and
backs it up.
$5,000, I said,
Whatever it
5,000
is.
per event for the,
for this.
Biannual.
yeah,
We can't only do it 1 year at a time.
right,
Yeah.
for 2019.
We'll look at something for the use of the facility.
I'll second
Please vote. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So now tell the county, it's on them.
We'll be doing that.
Next is item 2, reappoint professional service providers.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The purpose of this item, we do this each year, is to reappoint our professional service providers for 2019. Our current list of providers is as follows: City Attorney and Legal Services, Miles Hansford and Talent; City Auditor, Leroy Cole and Stevens; Civil Engineer is Civil Engineering Consultants, Inc.; City Streets Engineer, Moreland Altabelli and Associates; and Easement Acquisition Specialist is Michael Delaney.
Who's the civil engineer?
It is Mr. Andrew Lovejoy, and he's sitting back there right now in the blue sweater. Anyway, these are the professional
Got his
services.
Georgia Tech shirt on.
I knew it was coming.
Got it on? Oh, you got it covered, okay.
I knew you had a backup.
We did quote all these out last year, and there's no changes that I'm recommending at this time to this list, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Well, there's one change. Kevin's got a dance. What?
Is it?
Dance the funky cold
The
movie.
Funky Cold Medina at the next music festival. You agreeable to that?
I'm agreeable with that.
All right.
I don't know
how
if,
to do it, but I'll figure it out.
is that saying we can consider him a professional dance service?
Yes, please. Let's
Okay.
get that in the minutes.
He can sing, surely he can dance.
I'm sure he can.
I'll make a motion to reappoint professional service providers.
I just have one question.
Yep.
How long have we been using Leroy Cole and Stevens as the city auditor?
Oh, I can't, Jeff, you may
A long
know
period of time?
more than, longer than I can remember.
Yeah,
but,
30 plus.
Wow.
There was an RFP last year.
Yeah, but
We put those-
About 40 years.
Other people look at the books.
They did, I mean, we put an RFP out last year.
All right, that's just my question.
See, actually Cole and Stevens has come on. See, it used to be John Leroy when we originally, had them. And we've had change because we've had Charles and the Stevens boy that's, come into the firm.
Well, you've had most of these people a long time.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Did you make a motion? I second the motion.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. And we'll be letting Kevin know when to bring his dance shoes.
Can't wait.
Kevin, who is this Hanford? I've never seen him or heard of him or
Brian,
Brian?
yeah,
he's one of the partners in the firm.
I never.
He doesn't practice in this kind of law. He does different stuff, not us.
Oh, does he?
I went to school with him.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Well, I never have met him.
Come by the office, I'll introduce you.
Yeah.
Next is item 3, reappoint demand service providers.
Yes, sir. The purpose of this item is to reappoint the demand service providers for 2019. The current list is for general repair and construction, Cumming Development Construction; for concrete and street repair, Jimmy Ray Brown Concrete; for sewer repair, Townley Construction Company; for water repair, small scale, Bobby Amos, Inc.; for water repair, large scale, Jasper Grading and Pipeline; and landscape specialty and design is Watson Landscaping. We did quote these out last year, and these are the same providers as 2018. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I make a motion, we reappoint those people, all of them.
Second.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. Next is item 4, architectural proposals for the city center.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, included in your council packets tonight are 3 proposals from 3 architectural firms that we have received in preliminary discussions on the city center project. No action is required tonight on this, but the main reason to put this in is for your review. We are looking at these proposals. Each one, we have talked to each person at some point in time, and they have submitted these back to us. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have on this.
Are these the only 3 or the best?
Well, we met with, the first proposal in here is from Tracy Ward. Met with him. Second proposal is from Dwell. Met with, I can't remember the guy's name, but he never got back to us with a proposal.
Right. I can't remember his name.
He's over here off of Dahlonega Highway, but he was more of a home designer. I think it was kind of over his head. So then Dwell is who did the design that, we've been looking at. They're the only ones that have, we basically said, this is kind of what we're thinking. We want to see this kind of architecture. Show us what you can do. Well, they were the only ones to get us anything. Tracy Ward, he designed the dentist office across from Boland Rice. And he gave us a proposal, but never gave us any potential renderings. So then I got contacted by Lyman Davidson Dooley, and I met with a guy there. Well, and so he brings a proposal, but he's just proposing designing what Dwell had came up with. And they were going to be using Tracy Ward, which gave the other proposal as on their team
We don't need,
of doing it. So I just,
we don't need that.
Dwell has been the only one that has, and they have been very, very responsive when we've, said, here, show us what you can do. What were they, less than a week, Phil? They brought,
They have been extremely professional, very impressive group.
and very responsive.
Have they got any, that they've done before,
They-
various things?
Yeah, they've done part of Avalon down in Alpharetta. On one of these other potential zonings, when I'm meeting with those people, one of those guys has used them in the past and was very satisfied with them. So these are proposals y'all can look over. We'll be looking to
So what are
probably
these
act on it
proposals-
at the normal council meeting.
What are these proposals for?
This is for, it's kind of a la carte. When you're looking at it, it's not, well, here's the grand total. It's kind of a la carte, like they had in there, and I hadn't looked at this one, if this is the amended one from Dwell.
It is.
Like they had in there the fees to design the police department and municipal court. Well, it was like $200,000, and I'm like, no, we just need the outside, we need a vanilla box. We'll handle the, with the contractor, because it's, in other words, you're not designing, they were factoring in designing the entire interior and, all that, and it's,
So I guess what I'm asking is, we're looking for one of these groups to do our engineering and,
well, they'll design the buildings, everything to do with the buildings, and they'll work in conjunction with the civil engineer on the roads, which would be Moreland, Out the Belly. they'll work with them as far as placement of the roads, elevations of the roads. Moreland will design the actual road, but they'll be involved in that whole process, but they won't be designing the actual road.
Most of these people get about $180 an hour.
Yeah, we're in the wrong business.
We are.
You know this group? Well, Andy?
Jason McCook, he's familiar with them. He's done projects with, or Moreland has done projects with them in the past.
And they were,
They've already done for free.
When you're looking over this, keep in mind this is gonna fall under your professional services. And so cost is one factor, but making sure that the city gets what the city needs is the other factor. So don't feel like you need to go just, I haven't even looked at these to know what is the least expensive. If you're trying to add it up, I just wanna make sure everybody understood that. You don't have to go with what's the least.
Well,
Well, that's why I asked what I'd asked, because we have given architects work that we shouldn't have used them, we should have used somebody else that had more experience at doing what we needed done. And like you say, we gotta have somebody that can represent the best interest of the city and not the price be involved.
Well, just to put your mind at ease on that though, if you just look at the basic services that both Dwell and Lyman quoted, Dwell is cheaper by a couple $100,000.
And from what I can tell, it seems like they can do more.
there's things in here like that I've, when I met with them, you know, there's, well, we're not gonna need that, we're not gonna need that, you know, this is kind of a, we can do all this, the menu, so to speak, and you pick off the menu. You know, it's just like the police department and municipal court. Yep, we need that outside architecture to be, you know, and they'll design the building for, well, here's where the heating and air goes and all that, but then you turn it over, whoever we bid it out to contractor wise, you know, it's just 4 sheetrock walls and the plumbing and electrical panel, you know, is all they're designing. Well, the rest of that, it's simple construction. It's not, you know, I'll do it for free, sketch out, well, here's where the rooms are, you know, Casey's working on, here's what he'd like, you know, as far as the layout goes. We're not gonna spend $200,000 when we can do it for nothing or next to nothing and do the same thing, accomplish the same goal.
Do we need to eventually have a motion on hiring one of these groups to do blanket thing, or do we need to like have a vote on a more specific idea of what they're gonna be doing? I mean, I'm asking.
Well, as far as architectural services, I mean, there's so much we're gonna have to have from them. I mean, we're gonna have to have the plans to go out for bid, and it's gonna have to come from them. But once we get to that point, I mean, once we get to the construction phase, then it turns back on us, and we've got a whole lot more input on, you know, do we need this, do we need that? We may not need as much of their services, but until we get to that point, we do need.
See, and it's different, like when I say, like when I was talking to Vanilla Box, I'm talking about just because the only parts that we're gonna occupy are gonna be the police department and municipal court. The rest of them, they're designing it the same way, the outside, the facade, here's what it's gonna look like, here's you need these kind of floor joists, and here's how to construct the roof, the walls, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, the tenant takes over, they build out the inside. All you're giving them is 4 sheetrock walls,
The tenant will come in.
couple of
They'll
bathrooms.
lease the place.
I guess what I'm saying though is if the mayor feels comfortable and everybody else does, I'm prepared to make a motion tonight.
I know.
If it can be a blanket thing.
We don't even need to do this till we've got the plan from
Right.
the architect from the person telling us what land we can use.
With water, it's a good point.
Water, I mean, you
For
know,
the-
you've got land there that's,
When Andy
Yeah.
gets his study done.
Right,
Yeah.
well, here's to that point. Their layout that they've got, that's, the stuff Andy and them's doing, is gonna show that flood zone being smaller. It all works with it not being smaller. with the way it is now, it all works.
Flood zone about right there.
You just can't make
You just can't build a building on it. And you can build a building on it if you want and get flood insurance, but,
Well, I'd rather see the flood, I'd rather see that plan before we.
well,
Andy's gonna have that for us. We've already traded with him. He's gonna have that for us
But I mean, if you
too.
want time to look through this.
yeah, I'm not asking to act on it today. That was not the intention.
I
It
just
was,
didn't know if we needed-
Just something to look at.
yep, look it over and then, we're not gonna hire an architect before we close on the property. That's why we're not voting on it tonight, you know,
I think to address your question, the management though of it, you seem to be asking the question about, do you need to have a more concrete proposal? In terms of like, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do this. Once you decide the architect you wanna go with, then the management of that falls actually under the umbrella of the city administrator procurement policy. So you, through Bill, will then still be able to control what is done.
So in the future, not tonight, we could say, make a motion to hire
Yep.
X for Phil to.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we can just go item by item of things we want to change in here. Mhm.
yeah, and back to that part. They're not gonna design the roads until we get the study back from Andy. You know what I'm saying? They're not even gonna do that, but to be able to say, but as far as like the architecture of the buildings, it
Wherever
doesn't.
the building might be.
Right. The building's gonna look the same, whether it's sitting here, it moved 10 feet this way, it's gonna look the same. So that part, and it's a 3 to 6 month process for them. So it's one of those,
That's pretty short.
yeah, but it's one of those you can waste a couple of months and then next thing you know, you're 5 years out instead of 2. You know, I mean, a couple of months here, a couple of months there, it can
I see
drag
what
on.
you're saying now. I just thought, I'm not ready to adopt a plan until I know what the plan.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, the plan itself, what they get, you know, what we've looked at, that's the proposal, and I think it's safe to say we all really like it. It's probably gonna be a little bit different, you know, when they go and they're putting cause they've gotta work with the civil engineer to say, and this is part that they're working with them through the whole process to set, we want the road to be at this elevation. All right, now you design the road right here at this elevation because then we're setting the buildings up based on that. You know, they're working together with them.
Well, I'm not an architect, see, I'm having to kind of guess about it.
Yeah. And it's, you know, they've got to map in for the stormwater management, the utilities, you know, like in the rendering that we've got, it doesn't show, well, where's the dumpsters gonna be? You know, there's a lot more that's gotta go into that to make it a reality.
Well, if y'all.
And they were
if
what,
Y'all
they-
have met with the people, that
He
you
wants
and
what?
Phil have met with, y'all come near knowing which one you want,
Yeah.
don't you?
Dwell has, that would be my recommendation. The other ones hadn't shown me anything.
Okay.
You know.
So you're gonna call them and say, we're voting on this in 2 weeks, if
You
you
tell
want,
them that
if
if
you
you
want
know.
to do anything, do it.
Well, and one,
Yeah.
But then you don't want those people, because that might be how they
Well, we
proceed in the
might be,
future
and we
too.
might not be.
You have to be on
Of
them all
course,
the
before we
time.
get this other work done before then or not.
I was just saying, those other companies, you know, these people are pretty proactive. That says a lot, I think.
they have literally, we've met with them, what, 4 times maybe?
Yeah, and I've had several conversations with them on the phone. I know you have,
And
emails
it's
back and
been,
forth.
I mean, just
Yeah, they're
Johnny on the spot.
very responsive.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to,
One thing whoever we decide to go with, that I wanna try to negotiate out of the deal is a future plan for, now they wouldn't be doing the site engineering, but a proposed, kinda like how we got a proposal for the city center, but for them to throw in a proposal for Mary Alice Park cause we need to get that ball rolling to get something approved by the Corps.
What that guy.
Cause you've only got,
Right.
what, a year?
Well, we need to have it to them, I wanna have it to them by July 1st. So if I can get them to, all right, we're gonna give you this, but we wanna we want kind of what you did for the city center for Mary Alice Park for a resort, potential resort.
So you can get it approved by the court
Right,
while they're doing their upgrade.
yeah, but now we'll probably then have to take what they have and get a simplified, site plan done by Moreland or Andy, I don't know what, if that's something Andy and them do or not, but, to submit to the Corps. Cause it's gonna need dimensions and all that kind of stuff, but I feel confident that we can probably negotiate that in and get that for nothing. We'll see. No matter who it is, whether it's Dwell or, but Dwell, like I said, Dwell's the only one that's gave us anything to look at. The others hadn't even bothered, so that says a lot to me that,
They want it.
yeah. And they did all that at no cost. I mean, they did all that at no cost. So, let everybody just look it over and think about it, and we'll probably be where we can act on it and at the normal council meeting in 2 weeks. Even though we still wouldn't start, but that way we could go ahead and vote and have it done, and Phil can deal with it at the appropriate time.
They could be working on the other
Yeah.
That would be good.
That's right. Bring it
Add
on.
on.
All right, so now the additions to transfer of funds. So the Development Authority has made a loan to North Georgia College for $4,034,460 is what's due back to the city. Right now, of that money, they've repaid $2,616,960. And that leaves them with 14 quarterly payments of $101,250 from now through June 22nd. So that Development Authority, that's for, it doesn't show basically on the books of the city. It's not showing in the general fund or in the water and sewer fund. We should be to where we're gonna be able to close on the city center property later this month. So,
Now, explain to me what the Development Authority made that loan for?
for North Georgia to build their college,
The building that's at the.
the existing
Where the
building that's there now.
drivers'
Yep.
One's over the aquatics, huh?
There's just one.
And so that money is sitting in the Development Authority, and it can only be used to loan money to somebody else or to do, some sort of development.
I
So,
didn't understand, okay.
so we'd like to take and transfer, which will need a vote by the council to transfer the balance, which is, it's at the city now, it's just transferring it from one account to the other. And then when it comes time to close on the city center property, we're using that money, we're not using general fund reserves, to purchase the property. And then to kind of give you a highlight, I had Phil put this together for me. The city center, the roads, the parking deck, all that'll be paid for with SPOS money. The park in the middle, can all be paid for with SPOS money. Right now, we have a total of $18,365,835 of available funds. That's the Development Authority, the Capital Projects Fund, SPOS 7, Park and Rec Fund, SPOS 5. We still have $509,000 from SPOS 5. And we just voted on SPOS 8.
So we can spend it on that?
Right, so the way that we would do it is we take move the money back from the Development Authority to the general fund, pay for it. But then later, when we can define, this is the park area and this is the commercial area, then you can account for the park area with SPOS money. It's just an accounting, a way of accounting for it, but,
And I know SPOS has to, you have to spend it on what you say
exactly.
you're gonna build.
And that's what
You
we're,
cannot build something else.
right, and it all falls within those parameters. So really, the only thing that we'll be funding out of, general fund is gonna be some of the landscaping and the actual buildings, with the exception of the police department and the municipal court building. Those will be paid for with impact fees. So, but here again, that'll be one of those, we'll pay for it, and then as impact fees come in, then you're basically paying yourself back with those. So, any questions?
For the green space?
Do what?
Funds for the green space?
I didn't hear the
You still
first.
have the funds for the green space?
Yeah, there's $509,900. Then in the Parks and Rec, cause it's gonna be a park in the middle,
Right.
there's $1,000,009, for that. And then you're gonna have impact fee money coming in for Park and Rec.
You know, do all the nature trails and walking paths and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You're not really spending it for anything else.
right. So that cuts those are restricted funds that you have to use them on a project like this anyway. So,
And they hadn't been used because we hadn't had projects. Do you?
How was the,
and as far as roads, just to give you all an idea, and Phil and I were talking about it earlier today, we've got $8 million right now for roads. We've got 12.5 more million coming in and splossed 8. We're gonna have impact fee money coming in. We're not gonna need money for roads for a long, 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 long time.
how
We're-
was the, hold on a second. I don't know, the development authority, like the money that we loaned for the building to be built for North Georgia, how was that funded?
It was, Jeff and
Where'd it
Phil,
go?
that was
I'm just
before,
wondering
me.
how
I'm
that-
sure it
general
was a
fund.
transfer from the
Transfer
general
from the general-
fund
That's what I was
to
thinking, but I
the,
just didn't know that's how we do it.
It was a loan, and that kind of gets to the point I was going to make, Mayor. It's a loan from the general fund to the development
Okay.
authority.
That's what I
The two things, I mentioned the auditors earlier, it's funny you mentioned that, because when Bill called me about this today, I said, well, I know the city council is going to need to take action. Let me get with the auditors and make sure I know from them what they're going to be happy with, so that we don't have an issue on the audit, or a finding, that's their word, a finding on their audit. And so they want to see not only the city council take action, but also a resolution of the development authority, so we'll work on that as well, and get that.
And you don't loan money to anybody that you don't think will pay it back.
Well, no.
I mean, it's something like a college or,
Yeah, I was just wondering, maybe
Yeah,
it's
but it was-
future, how it even came.
it came from the
So
general
that's-
fund to,
No,
and
that's-
so all you're
that's
doing is
what I
paying
figured. I just-
the
and how do
development
you get the money
authority
in
back.
the general fund?
Jeff can,
Just savings over the year, tax dollars, and
Okay, it's not necessarily.
it's not
impact
squashed
fees
or
are in
anything,
one little
no.
file, right?
No, this
Well, they will be.
will be,
yeah.
I mean,
but not in the
that'll be-
past.
That'll be one thing, and then taxes will be one thing, or not taxes so much as, well,
We don't have those.
as fines or, licenses, that's one thing, right? Okay, so everything's got its own little niche that the money goes in.
Yep. Any other questions?
So we need action on transferring funds from the development
Yeah,
authority.
the city we can use a motion to approve the transfer of the funds from the development authority back to the city, and then we'll handle the resolution for the development authority, just to paper up everything.
I'll make a motion to that effect. The attorney just read it.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. Next is item B, planning and zoning
Turkey
annexation,
Bay.
2018-451, City of Cumming, public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Morgan isn't here tonight, I offered to do this for him. This is the 60% annexation of the property that was going to be an island once the city completes, there will be an island once the city completes probably the easiest thing for us to do is, I want to take a look at this map here. We included in our letter to the county. When it was originally printed, it was green. It's some kind of a weird aquamarine blue shade right now. It's this land right here. This land over here is part of what will be,
It's all bowling property.
this is all Bowling
Yeah.
property, and the city will be acquiring property over here. When we do that, we'll be isolating this right here, and that's why that had to be brought in order to avoid creating an island, an incorporated island. We had to get 60% of the property owners to sign on. The property owners came in at about 80% of pledging annexation. The property owners here as well as back over there.
You're a little off on that part, Kevin.
What's that again?
Well, part of the green, the very left part of the green where your finger is,
Yes.
well, that part's part of the city center.
Oh, okay.
Where the yellow meets up below the green, right there from that point over to the right, to Triple Gap, that's the part that's
Okay.
the 14th, 15th Street, Darla Avenue, Dave Road.
Okay. But this, so that's who those people are. The annexation though included all the properties being part of the city center plus all those little small individual tribes. So 80% of the property owners signed on, and I think we found that close to 70% of the
70.
voters signed on to request to come into the city. That's the voters who are registered, who live there, who are on that hearing. That's on Tuesday.
So all this other land's already annexed, it's just this one little piece
Right,
that's
the
not
green,
annexed.
the green.
It's 70% when you take out the people who aren't there. There's a hearing, actually, just so everybody's aware, Councilman Lights asked a question. There are a lot of people who live in this area who no longer live, who are registered to vote there, who have either died or no longer live there. It's a pretty high turnover there in terms of who lives in that area and a lot of those places. And their Board of Registrations is having a hearing next Tuesday on cleaning up the voter rolls for that area. They obviously did not want to do that while the election was going on, and we understood that, respected that, but they're gonna have that hearing next Tuesday now the elections are over.
Where will they have it at?
In the Board of Registrations building.
What would that cost?
There's a couple of presentations from the city, in essence, on who those, on those particular voters who are no longer either living or no longer residing in that area.
Because it's supposed to be run Hispanic.
I'll have to let somebody who actually went out there and knocked on doors speak to that. I think out there and knocked on anybody's door.
I've knocked on a lot of doors out there, mostly Hispanic, and they don't, a lot of them speaking.
Well, and that was, when Kevin's talking about there was 80%, you still had some of them that you just didn't get a reply from. It's not that they said, no, we don't want to, you couldn't get a reply from the voter or the property owner or, but we've met the threshold, so now it's just the going through the motion.
It'd be good to get that many.
And so don't thank me, I didn't do that. I
You
just
thank
took the
Phil.
letters.
Phil,
That's a good
I
job,
knocked on
Phil.
some doors. It was interesting.
That's a good job, David.
So what we need to do tonight, Mr. Mayor, the county has received this, they have not raised any objections to this point. Their 30 days, I think expires this week, so we should have a final decision from them, as well. Actually, before the next council meeting. What we need tonight is to do our public hearing, on this, and then don't take final action on it until, the next meeting, which will be a public hearing.
I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
please vote. Carries 5-0. Is there anyone that'd like to speak in favor of the annexation? Is there anyone that'd like to speak in opposition to the annexation? I have a motion that we close the public
I
hearing.
make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. And then is it, the next council meeting will be the second, or this is the second? The planning commission had the first.
In terms of your public hearing?
Yeah.
Planning commission had the first, you're only required to have one.
Oh,
public
okay. So next is item C, utilities report bids of Williams Circle low pressure sewer.
Mayor, members of the city council, we advertised for bids for this low-pressure sewer line. It's on Williams Circle, it's behind Costco, and we received 3 bids. The low bid came from Applewood Services Incorporated. We've used them several times. That bid was in the amount of $102,950. Townley Construction's bid was $125,125.50. Site engineering was $193,750.00. And we recommend going with a low bid from Applewood Services Incorporated in the amount of $102,950.
What do we know about them, John?
We've used them, I don't know, 10 different projects. They do a really good job.
Oh, they do?
And they're local, so
Okay.
similar projects.
I was gonna say, if they wasn't local, you know, this Townley, we know, has done a lot for us.
We do. Townley's an excellent contractor.
Yeah.
But Applewood is excellent too. These sewer lines are, 2.5 inches, so these are pressure lines where the individuals have a pump and they pump up into the line. And we've had good luck with this contractor on 10 different projects, and we would recommend them, and they are the low bid.
Have any other questions or comments?
Make a motion, we go with Applewood Services.
Second to motion.
Please vote. Carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, John. And next are announcements. The fairgrounds have still got the ice skating rink going daily through January the 7th. It's not been a break even for him. Yeah, it's, turnout's been less than expected. So. Yeah, every weekend it has rained. I mean, it's just, it's been
There's a lot of
stacked up.
holidays in it too. You know, that people were doing other things. It was set stuff.
Said he's just waiting on you to,
Yeah, I'll be down
If
there
Lewis
the
and
same time
Skate,
you are,
they-
and you'll hit them damn things together.
I'll dance a funky cold.
Yeah,
He'll
we'll
dance
put the
and
skates
skate.
on
You do
together.
the triple sow cow, and I'll do the funky
And I
cold.
have somebody in the hospital.
I'll call for the ambulance.
that's why I've not been, because I
That's
don't
why
want to go.
Troy ain't out there.
Well, that's it for tonight. We've got executive session for
Pending litigation.
pending litigation. So thank everyone for coming.
Make a motion to, go into regular session.
Second.
Please vote. Carries 5-0. Have a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Please vote. Please vote. Please vote. There we go. Now I got all 5 of you. Carries 5-0.